All right, I've got 9 o'clock. Start the meeting. Welcome to the February 9th, 2026 Airport Authority meeting agenda. It's 9 a.m. Lindsay, please call a roll call, please.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Doss?
Here.
Ms. Goodman? Ms. Kaminsky? Here. Mr. Picardi?
Here.
Mr. Schrader?
All right, thank you. Moving on to approval of the agenda. We do have an update from Enterprise on the agenda, but they are not on the call yet. If they do join the call before the end of the meeting, I would still like to hear from them. So I would ask that we just hold space in the agenda someplace if we can get an update from them. So number 5 will be mobile.
And I had taken Orchard Beach update off, but Barry provided an email this morning, so I can read that.
Okay, great.
So we can put that above my director's report.
Okay.
So moved as amended.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next, we have public comment. Anybody from the public online? The 4351 us.
Yeah. That's the conference phone.
We have Stephanie. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
And nobody in the room, so we'll move on. All right, Enterprise isn't here yet. Approval of minutes, January 12th, 2026. We had a regular meeting. The minutes are in your packet. Hopefully you had a chance to look through those, and if there are no questions or comments on the minutes, I would appreciate a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Preston. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Minutes are approved. Moving on to the treasurer's report.
Okay. In front of you, you'll see your January 2026. You approve the accounts payables. Within the accounts payable, there's also, I split the invoice for Fund 481. There was still that $5,882.21 left in that fund. So when we did the readers, I split that. So you'll have to approve the accounts payable for Fund 481 because there is a little bit in there for the TKS security. Like the full invoice was like $15,000 or $16,000, and that was part of the money we paid in the county was to do that. So that was what was left in that. So I split that.
Okay.
So we'll have to approve both funds this round, and then there isn't any more money in Fund 481 unless we have a project that we put money in there for. And then last month I didn't have the dollar amount for Orchard Beach for December, so there's December and January that are both on there that need to be approved. And then the $291,011, that is the January for the corporate flight management. We did get the money reimbursed back from December, so January got paid, and I expect us to be reimbursed back before January ends. So we're kind of caught up with that. It's nice to see that come in and out the same month. So somebody had some questions on anything?
That Orchard Beach, that's the same figure every month, right?
Yeah, unless he's got other things that he purchased that we need to reimburse him back for.
Okay.
But yeah, that's right according to the contract, that's a flat dollar amount.
All right, any questions on accounts payable? So you need 2 separate motions?
Yeah, I do.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion to pay the regular accounts payable first.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, George.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cindy. Any questions or discussion? Lindsay, could we have a roll on that?
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky?
Yes.
Mr. Picardi?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And then I'm also looking for a motion to approve the accounts payable for Fund 481.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Preston. Thank you, George. Any questions or further discussion? Lindsay, please call.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky? Yes. Mr. Picardi?
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Anything else, Susan?
No, and I know that we have an agenda to do these separately, but I think we could put these together. Approve the accounts payable / financial statements. I don't think you need to have two motions for that.
Okay.
We don't have any other at the board tonight. That, I don't know why it was ever separated out. I think someone has, but here,
Next month we'll combine them.
yeah, because it's just a summary of everything that needs to be talked about.
Okay.
Just to give you a bird's eye view of where we're at when I run the report. So, if you had any questions going through it, let me know. But, and then we're also right now going through the audit. So, if anything, comes up or if they have questions, I'll make sure and reach out, or if I think there's an issue with anything. So, I think that's been going pretty well so far. Miles and I have the deadline of the 9th.
Today.
to get everything to them.
Going with this meeting.
So, they pretty much have probably 90% of what they're looking for. I'm just trying to find some loose items, so.
The question you sent to me was an audit question?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep, and I did find it, so
Okay.
it's all good, yep.
great.
Yep.
So, keep an eye on your emails and phones if Susan has an audit question.
And then the auditors also might be reaching out to you guys, because they did ask for your contact, so, they'll for sure be talking to you.
Great.
Yeah, so, sure, they will definitely be reaching out to you, but, if something else comes up, they will contact board members and ask questions, so just
Okay.
wanted to give you guys a heads up. So if you see some strange number calling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we get extra credit for answering the phone
You do
immediately?
credit, sure.
Don't let me forget, we gotta sign the engagement letter.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Get it back.
And then there will be a single audit this year too. So there's two audits. There's the regular audit and then there's a single audit, which is, they're going to audit all the federal money that the airport was, paid this year because of our AES service, so.
Thank you for taking care of that.
Yep.
All right, questions for Susan?
You probably wanna just to approve the financial statement.
Okay.
This year.
I would like a motion to approve the financial statements.
So moved.
Thank you, Jeff. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, Lindsay, call roll.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky? Yes. Mr. Picardi?
Yes.
All right. Committee reports. The executive committee did meet. We had a spirited conversation. Miles, would you like to provide us with a commentary on that?
Yeah, the really kind of covered three things, but we looked at the strategic business plan, and kind of working on through some updates on that. The NDOT Air Service Revitalization Grant, which is later on the agenda as well. And then just looking ahead, some of the things that we'll have coming before us, I think, later this year. Some of the ones, obviously, that we're in is audit and budget is coming up, and then the air service process will be kind of spooling up later this year and early next year too. So those were kind of the three things that we had discussed during the executive committee.
One other thing we talked about was filling out and managing the rest of the committees. So right now, I think we're a little lopsided on some things. next meeting, we're gonna go through and kind of sort that out, I think. So you get a pass this meeting, but, look for information, look for information on the committee responsibilities, things that we'll be asking for your help with, and, I guess think about which ones you might be interested in and be prepared for a request to join on one of those, at least one, so. Does that sum that up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Capital Projects Committee and Budget Committee did not meet. All right, moving on to old business. We have no old business, so we'll do new business. Action items, we have a 2025 MDOT Air Service Revitalization Grant. So Miles, why don't you take us through that?
Yeah, so around this time last year, the airport had submitted a, application, as it was a one-time appropriation from the state, for air service revitalization. We were granted funds along with Muskegon to develop Cross Lake service to Milwaukee or Green Bay. We did extensive outreach and due diligence with multiple carriers. Granted, some of this I inherited, so I wasn't here during all this. But since I've been here, we've reached out to one of the respondents, Cape Air, and it seemed really kind of tough to hear from them, and if it was something that they were interested in doing. So despite good faith efforts, productive discussions, we weren't able to identify an operating model that would really meet one of the objectives of the grant, which is an unsubsidized service. So the first year would be subsidized with the grant money, but then future years, they would operate at risk. And so we weren't able really to get a commitment from anybody to do that. So regarding the grant, it has to be used for air service development, air service connectivity, and service retention. And they have to be spent by August 31st, 2026. So two needs that I thought were strong candidates that met these three kind of requirements was a runway extension justification study and a terminal study. So reasons why I believe they're good candidates are being funded by the FAA is unknown because the study has to be completed and a favorable justification for it to be eligible. Before it would be reimbursed with federal grant money. Completing the studies are first steps of the process for requesting funding for improvements. And then efficiency needed to complete a terminal justification study is very similar to the information needed to complete a runway extension justification study. So there's some efficiency, although they do end up being two different reports. A third, if there's remaining money, which I would anticipate there may, is doing a design project that would include bid documents for expanding the parking lot. Construction of that would have to be funded at a later time, but we would have the design ready. Vast contour for supporting documentation, Mead and Hunt's memo later in the agenda, I think would be some other supporting documentation to provide that outlines some of the challenges that Contour faces with the runway length and constraints of the terminal. So what I'm asking for is the board's support for me to engage with MDOT to pursue these projects and utilize these funds, the $200,000 grant award for these projects. And then we would report back on what they decide.
Well, if you need a motion to do that, I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Motion by Jeff, second by Cindy.
Are you clear on
So
the motion?
No.
To utilize existing grant funds from
Yeah, MDOT.
MDOT to study runway extension and terminal expansion.
And then remaining funds for parking lot expansion design.
Yeah,
Okay.
if there are any.
Yeah.
Stephanie, do you think that $200,000 gets us, those two items plus maybe part of a third?
We do. We've taken a look at things, and the only thing that we've discussed with Miles because of the August 31st date is that we believe we could get them through development. We don't know that we could get them through FAA or MDOT approval. We do that often if we've got expiring funds that we're committed to being able to get the documents done, and then any hopefully minor revisions or things that questions FAA and MDOT might have, we could finish those up after the fact. But we believe we could do all of them and meet that deadline.
Okay. I personally think it's a far better use of the money than, basically funding sightseeing tours all summer.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on the motion? All right, Lindsay, could you take a roll, please?
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Doss?
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky? Yes. Mr. Picardi?
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. All right, non-action items. Discuss process for runway extension.
Yeah, so this was a memo that I asked Stephanie put together with Mean Hunt, just to lay out what a runway extension process would look like. So it kind of spells out the steps necessary. It does start with one of the key elements is the justification of 500 operations. So I think the data for that would suggest, especially with our carrier currently Contour, that one could be justified because of the type of aircraft they operate. But the main thing was that I wanted to lay out is just the steps. So a justification, environmental assessment, design, and ILS reallocation, and then construction of the surface. And then they lay out, very estimate ballpark figures for each of those, and then overall, and then a timeline, rough timeline. So, Stephanie, is there anything specific that I missed or that you want to talk about?
No, just I guess two things. I guess all of this is just kind of rough order of magnitude. That with what we know, as we sit today, the costs are an estimate, and the timing is an estimate because obviously we would have FAA and MDOT involved through that process. If we wanted to go down this route, and assuming MDOT agrees to your reallocation of the air service funds, one of the things that we would need to make that August timeframe work would be an approval at your next board meeting to turn us loose. Otherwise, we wouldn't have enough time to get the justification done in that timeframe. And then the rest of it, we do see. In my conversation with Miles, he said that it appeared that your concern was more about the runway justification or runway extension over the terminal building at this point. So as you can see, if you take a look through the page 3 of our document, even if we pull the trigger here as a part in the next, couple months doing the justification and it's found to be justified, you're talking a 4 to 5 year time frame before we're into construction or usable. And a lot of that has to do with, there's a solid year plus on the environmental assessment. And we do have, wetlands and biological windows we have to deal with that drive some of that. And then the second part of that would be just the construction time, getting the dollars allocated, because the dollar amount that we'd expect it to be is something that we would have to go after discretionary dollars and or a congressional earmark for. we could be pursuing both simultaneously. But, getting that into what we call the cycle in the discretionary request would be critical. And then for those who are, watching the checkbook, probably the lower right-hand corner of the table on page 3 is probably the most critical part, is that FAA will ask you for what's called a reimbursable agreement for them to address their equipment, which is everything to do with the instrument landing system, or the ILS. And so you're going to have to write a check for somewhere in the neighborhood of about $800,000 upfront to the FAA that then they draw on. So, if we get through the justification study and are ready to run down this road, that's just something I want to make sure you're, fully aware of, that there's a pretty big dollar amount that would have to be paid to the FAA as it relates to supporting that element of the project. At the end of the day, it's reimbursable once we get to the end of the project. So you'll note the bottom one, we're looking at this project is probably, under $500,000 in local costs when it's all said and done, but there's, costs along the way that you would have to front to get you to that point.
Stephanie, what, in March, how much money is the authority putting up to turn you guys loose on this timeline?
Ideally none. I guess, I don't know, because we weren't involved with the conversation about the air service grant. I assume if MDOT says, yes, the air service grant is good to go, they would write the check to you for the grant, or, we invoice like a normal MDOT funded project. And so it would be zero. Miles, did that grant have a local match, or was that all straight 100% grant? Do you know? I don't know.
I think it was 100%.
Okay.
I don't think there's any local match component to it.
Okay. We just need to know, for March's meeting, if we're authorizing spending money that we have to find.
Right.
I just want to be clear on that for everybody around the table.
Yeah, it could be a scenario where the payment comes from us first, and then we seek reimbursement later.
Okay. So let's plan on following up conversation with the county on that.
Yeah.
Unless we want to do it right now. I think we do follow up.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, but part of the conversation in the executive committee meeting was really clearing the table, so to speak, and just really getting aligned on one big goal, that being the runway extension. Particularly the conversations that we've had with Contour are that winter operations are really challenged by snow contamination, the capabilities of the aircraft, and the capabilities of our ground crew. All those three things need to match up in order for them to be able to successfully take off and land during a winter season. So, we can't impact the performance of the aircraft. We're not able to staff our grounds crew like Detroit Metro or Chicago O'Hare. So if it takes an hour to clear the runway and we're getting 2 inches of snow every hour, then part of the runway is going to have 2 inches of snow on it all the time, best case scenario, right? So I really think that outlining this timeline gives us something to look at in black and white, and we're not chaining ourselves to the figures of the timeline. Everybody understands that, but I think we can really start to wrap our heads around what it really looks like to go after a longer runway here.
Well, the other thing, Bill, and I'd like to point out, when you look at the runway length for Embraers and the CRJs, and that's with maximum load, but still.
Yeah. Well, we know they don't have.
If we're going to have reliability here in the cold weather months, we need to have more runway. That's a limiting factor.
Yep.
And I'll just note that those are all true statements. FAA is hard pressed to take those under advisement, and so that's where the justification study, there's a lot of more qualitative discussion around those things that talk about that to get it across the finish line. our experience, Miles and I talked about it last week, if you're familiar with the runway expansion that Big Rapids just did, that was largely due to similar issues with their corporate aircraft that they have coming in there. And we were able to get a congressional earmark that paid for the majority of what was needed outside of what FAA was willing to consider justified. So, that may be where we find ourselves when it's all said and done, that as noted in the memo, we'll probably need to do a calculation of what's the actual required length with the haul route that Contour has, which is getting to Chicago and back, and then see how that translates into the goal of the 1,000 feet. So we may end up with I'll call it a two-part justification of here's what's justified under the absolute letter of the law by FAA and what they would recommend as opposed to what we know Contour needs, for example, in the winter ops, or when you get extreme temps, that affects their ability to go as well. So we'd craft that justification study to address all of those scenarios that hopefully it sells a compelling message enough to FAA so it's not an issue, but at a minimum, it's enough that, we get a congressional ear that finds it compelling enough to say we're going to put it forth with a potential earmark or congressionally directed spending, if you prefer. Those are two major things that we'd be looking at, because the raw numbers, as you see in front of you, look favorable to it. The problem is FAA is going to look at that and say, well, the max takeoff weight in that scenario isn't really applicable because you're not going out fully loaded and you're not going on a full haul length. So the upside is we know that that's where their focus is going to be. And, we've got a few tricks up our sleeve of what we would write and how we'd write it, and, coordination with Contour to create a compelling story.
And our current runway length is
5,501.
and 1.
Mm-hmm. So 5,501.
How long is Key West?
Shorter than
It's
that.
shorter. All right, great. Good conversation. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Miles.
Yeah, any other questions about that?
All right, time for Barry's email.
Yeah. Barry provided this report. So Tyler Weber has agreed to take over Orchard Beach Aviation. Tyler will initially start as an employee/manager to learn the business and get ARF trained. Tyler's first day will be March 2nd, and then Tyler plans to attend the Michigan Airports Conference next week on behalf of Orchard Beach and Manistee Airport Ops. So that's what Barry provided this morning about for the Orchard Beach.
So he is going to become Orchard Beach Aviation as opposed to Barry, or that's what it is?
That's what it
Okay,
sounds like.
so I'm clear. Okay.
And who is this doing that? I'm sorry, Tyler?
Tyler Weber.
Weber.
He was one of our candidates for,
Oh, okay,
okay.
yep.
from over in Wellston,
Yep.
local guy.
We're excited to have him on board and excited to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Miles, let's move on to your report.
Okay, so I've reordered things just a little bit. So we'll start with projects. So one of them we're tracking is the PFC application. Anticipate submitting the new application to FAA in early April. For the new application, one item to accomplish is air carrier consultation meetings. So there's a pre-meeting 30-day notification period and a post-meeting 30-day response. So that's what, if we get those notices out this week, that would put us in that April timeframe.
Is that all eligible carriers, or is that just the ones we're working with?
I think
don't understand that.
I think it's just the ones that we're working with.
Okay.
But Stephanie, is that accurate? I think it's just the ones we're working with.
Okay,
I don't know if it's every carrier in the country. Per
Sorry,
se.
that's just the ones you're working with.
okay. So
Uh,
that's similar to a public meeting cadence where you just send them a notification you want to meet on this, and then they have 30 days to respond?
Correct. They'll be given notice that we're going to hold the public discussion. If they choose to participate, that's up to them. And then they've got up to 30 days, I believe it is, could be 15 afterwards to submit any written comments. Typically, if they've got any concerns, that's something we would ask, Miles, just to kind of hear or touch base with the local gates agent to see if our station manager, see if they anticipate anything. So if there is, we could have some dialogue ahead of time. Usually it's not a major issue.
Okay, so that's a public meeting?
It is a public meeting. So it's published. It would be published on the airport's website to notice if anybody's interested in coming. I know I'm probably going to jinx it. I've never had a general public attend ever in any of those, but it's a step in the federal process that requires us to make it available publicly.
Okay. You'll send out when we have a date for that meeting? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay. So list of projects, I think is finalized. So it includes the PFC program administration. That was for previous, our current PFC application, I suppose, and then the one that we're applying for, and then also local share projects that occurred from 2013 through 2024. So FAA did confirm, so we can continue collecting on our existing PFC program until the new application is approved by the FAA, because we started the new application prior to our existing application being the cutoff date for that. T-Hanger door replacement. So we held a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting on February 2nd with Mead Hunt H2A, or Mead Hunt and their subconsultant H2A. One contractor was present. We're still anticipating grant funding late summer, early fall this year, just prior to the end of the federal fiscal year. Still anticipating construction in the spring of 2027, and then bid documents were issued January 27th. So bids are due February 17th at 11 a.m. at the Mead and Hunt office. And so once we have a contractor selected based on the bids and stuff, we can work with them to understand the construction schedule. But right now they're anticipating kind of almost a month on each side to do all the doors. Okay. So, all right. So the runway 1028 grading and lighting improvements in New Beacon. So still continuing to work with the FAA and MDOT on the reimbursement of the city water main. Consumers, Mead and Hunt was able to meet with consumers to mark their power line, so consumers can start engineering a solution. And then Mead and Hunt's working with the contractor to schedule finishing outstanding work. So looking to be around May. Mostly nighttime closures, may have a couple daytime closures for the consumers piece. So the aspects that need to be done is the electrical contractor comes in and we'll put covers over the vaults they installed where the duct banks go underneath the pavement. So there's several of those. Once consumers, I think they'll relocate their power and lower it or bury it wherever, and then that'll give M&M Construction, they can finish the grading part. So And then Eagle funding, so we were awarded $150,000 to remove, existing aqueous film forming foam, or AFFF, rinse the foam tank of the truck, to prepare for the fluorine-free foam. The grant money won't fund the replacement foam, so that's something we'll have to, I gotta get pricing on that to, fill the truck with that stuff. There are some 139, there's testing requirements that we'll have to meet for 139 purposes, so I'm still doing research on that. And then also training, because it reacts different, than the previous AFFF. So that'll be some training with Orchard Beach and some of the fire departments and stuff.
When is the next revenue sharing grant application deadline?
It's about a month from now, because we have a meeting, our organizational meeting.
Just today.
Today's the deadline?
No,
No, no,
today
no.
is the organizational.
I wanna say, it's about a month from now.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
March
Just
or
off.
April or something.
I
Maybe
think
like
that,
the first Friday of March-ish.
that aqueous film should be eligible for that, right?
Could be.
The nitrogen tank, replacing the nitrogen tank actuators and stuff is something I was planning on applying for that too. Yeah.
Put it all in.
Yeah,
Great.
so yeah, I'll get, some pricing on some replacement foam. So hopefully, we'd indicated to Eagle that, we'd like the project to start, March, so after our board meeting next month, so hopefully we'll have the grant agreement for Eagle for that, and then also, a contract from MENOT, for their services. So operations and maintenance, we didn't have, airport incidents or accidents. And then I included a couple things in here that are new, so HVAC needs, just, getting familiar with the building. So this is a list of, HVAC related needs that are, some of them are more pressing than others. So we may need to take care of them before, in this fiscal year. Some of them we could probably budget for, next fiscal year. So, any questions on HVAC needs?
I would say, build out a list with prioritization and line item cost so that we can start chipping away at them.
All right. So IT update, we got the networking equipment installed. The vendors, so Carhu Cyber, they were here last week. They moved a lot of the systems that were plugged into the previous network switch into the new one. So that was very helpful. A few things that we'll have to probably spend a little bit more money on. So 2 battery power supplies for surge protection from short-term power failures. There's no generator, so it would be difficult to add anything, as far as battery backup extravagant. So it'd just be to help protect any power fluctuations. They'll replace my desk phone at some point, because it's currently on Orchard Beach's phone network. We'll have to figure out this conference one too, because this is theirs as well. So with the network equipment being installed, I should be able to connect to the BSNA General Ledger system. Printers are connected and operating, and then the mechanical room where the equipment is installed, it'd probably be good to put cameras in there, so just to monitor for security reasons and stuff. So I would need to get a price from TKS or the vendor for that. So, any questions on IT update? All right. Ops maintenance, so part 139, our periodic inspection, we're still tracking a compliance item for a audit condition of airfield signs. We had to replace, 3, so I think we're on track to be closed out by the planned correction date. The audit's complete, and then replacement signs have been ordered, so.
Refresh my memory, were those signs damaged, or were they worn out, or what was the,
Yeah, they're faded and they're delaminating.
okay. So do we have a process now for auditing the signs, so we catch them before an inspection?
Yes,
We do, okay.
yep, yeah,
Good.
it just is going out there, so part of the way I did it was, took pictures of it, cause I have to submit, that information to the inspector.
Okay.
So it'll really just be doing that, I think on an annual basis.
Okay.
So there was a sign that, got damaged, but there were a couple others that I ordered as well, cause they were, pretty much the same condition as the ones that we're replacing, so. I will say, a lot of them do look pretty good,
Okay,
so, which right now is a good thing. May not be down in, in the future, just depends on which way they face. So the south facing ones usually get damaged quicker because they're exposed to the sun all year.
okay.
Administration, so had a meeting with GSA about the TSA lease. Hopefully we'll have a draft, by the March meeting. That'll be really good. I've been really trying to push them on, and I think they're interested in, getting it closed out as well. So hopefully that's the case, that we'll have a draft by, next month's meeting. So still working with MS Creative. They, had asked when I told them I was interested, but they were looking for like a little bit of a term in their agreement. So like a 3-year commitment. So part of the scope of services, I had thrown out a budgetary number for us of 25,000, so they may be interested in pursuing that, but a commitment for 3 years. But I've not received a formal response from them. So we are working on, working through some questions that he had.
Okay.
Too bad Enterprise wasn't here. I thought they would be. I will follow up with them. And maybe we can have them, and then I had a quarterly update from Contour on the schedule as well. So maybe we can have them both here. So I don't have January's numbers yet. They should come in this week. But 45 rentals in December, compared to 33 in November, and then 47 October, and so on. Rental days in December was 171, and then for the half the year of 2025 that they were here, there was 185 total rentals, and then 736 total rental days. So I would be curious to understand, like, what, if there's a threshold that they're trying to achieve with either of those, and which ones, if one is more important than the other. But given the winter, it seems like, I think there's slow times, but it seems like, it is doing, reasonably well, so.
Okay.
Air service update, so just wanted to, start out with confirming the December 25 enplanements. So 530 was the final number, versus December 24's was 746. So it was a little bit of a decrease, month over month there. Calendar year 25, 8,669 enplanements and 15,961 total passengers. So compared to calendar year 24, that was, I calculate a 13% increase in enplanements. We had 14 cancellations in January. I don't have the final numbers from Contour, but so estimating 308 enplanements last month versus January 25 of 398. So I'm expecting those final numbers this week. Load factor for last month is estimated about 33%. And then impacts for the cancellations and if there were delays were mainly due to weather. So, any questions on that? So with the weather, kind of like what we had talked about earlier, I was successful in meeting with Contour. Took a little bit of time, but it is a challenge for their aircraft, which they pretty much dedicate a ERJ crew to Manistee for winter operations because it, I think, handles the constraints we have a little better than the CRJ 200. So 30% or more of snow over compacted snow drastically impacts their aircraft performance. So trying to minimize the snow over compacted snow is something that I've mentioned and am continuing to work with Orchard Beach on. And then also the timeliness of reporting runway conditions. So updating the observed time is important for the field condition NOTAMs. The most challenging events are going to be the ones where it's continuously snowing, especially at a heavy rate. So, but all we can do is make an effort. And so if we have future meetings with Contour, I would invite Orchard Beach to them. So Barry and or Kyle, or Tyler, not Kyle, Tyler could understand and work with the ops staff to, if there's anything that we can do better, just make sure that that happens, or at least strive towards that. So, but otherwise, if there were any questions on that.
No, the only thing, and again, it's a little ambiguous, but when passengers get strung along, that becomes exceptionally infuriating for those, as opposed to doing hard stops. That it doesn't work out well, and it doesn't end well.
That's one of the challenges for us too, because we're, you know, our time, the fuel, the equipment, and all that stuff. You know, we're going back and forth doing all that stuff. So, yeah, I'll confirm with Ben, who from his, if it's one of his leadership team members or not. But yeah, that's something we can definitely mention to them next month too. So, other than that, it was just the chart with the historical employment and total passenger data. So, or not a chart, but the table. So that was my report.
All right, questions for Miles? Thank you for that thorough report. Moving on to comments by authority members. Preston, do you have any comments?
No.
Cindy?
No, I'm good.
Jeff?
So I looked up when we were sitting here, just so the other authority members are aware, length of runways. So Traverse City, main runway 7,016, secondary is 5,378. Muskegon, primary runway is 6,501. So if we got 1,000, we'd match them to the inch.
Mm-hmm.
And their secondary is 6,100. So.
Thank you. George?
All good.
All right. Susan, do you have anything else for us? Lindsay? Okay. Well, I don't have anything. Seeing no further business, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all very much. Drive safe.